Invite you to embrace this pivotal weekend in the race to be the champions of the Premier League.
You're listening to FPL Kobe Talks. Arguably the best FPL podcast in Singapore.
It was never a debate.
It was always a debate. It was always a debate.
Alright, hello and welcome back to the episode of FPL Kobe Talks, where two gentlemen spend our time to speak about the game we love, Fantasy Premier League. This is the FPL Playbook series. I'm Anwar, the FPL casual, and with me I have my buddy.
Lukman, the sensible one. How's it going, brother?
It's good, man. It's good. It's been a while since we talked about the engine room. I think this episode predominantly used to be one of my favorites, but the midfielders have overtaken the forwards right now for me. This is forward focus. What's your thoughts on how you feeling about this sport, man?
Yeah, I mean, similar to you, it used to be one of the more popular positions, but recently it hasn't been good. I mean, because Haaland is a non-factor, right? Even before Haaland came, right, I think forwards are more punty. They're not our so-called assured assets, yeah. So yeah, we'll talk more.
We'll talk more about it this episode. Right, but before that, if you're listening to this on Spotify, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Give us that 5-star rating because it will help with our outreach. We are also on YouTube. If you're on YouTube Premium and you love the content that we're putting out there, you can listen to our podcast on YouTube as well. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and you can put on the bell button so that every time a new episode comes up, you'll get your notification.
All right, let's go.
And we also have a Telegram group. Don't forget to follow that. You can search FPL Copy Talks. I think shout out to FPL Brendan. By the time you're hearing this episode, he would have already received his jersey. It's a Tottenham away kit, right?
No, home kit next season.
Next season Tottenham home kit. Yeah.
This season.
24-25 season home kit. So hope you enjoy your jersey. Thanks for the shout. And we're running our prize league, which will be starting very, very soon. So hopefully this FPL playbook will give you a head start against all the rest of the players out there. Do give us a listen. I'm looking forward to this spot. This is FPL playbook series, forward focus. Let's get into this.
This is the FPL Playbook, your ultimate guide to mastering Fantasy Premier League. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, this podcast series covers everything you need to know. From building a winning team to discovering game-changing strategies, we're here to transform casual players into engaged enthusiasts. Get ready to elevate your FPL game.
All right, so let's begin. Let's talk about the forwards. Just very quickly, let's get down to the basics first. So what do we need to know about forwards in Fantasy Premier League? We have 3 positions. You need to pick at least 3 strikers or forwards in your starting 15 or in your squad of 15.
Yep.
And you must start at least 1 forward in your lineup. So you can start up to 3, but at least 1 forward in your lineup. So we can go to Spain circa 2010. Where they started with 6 midfielders and no strikers. So you need at least 1 striker up front. And then let's just do a quick point. Before that, let's review the forward point system. So basically, forwards, right? I feel like they get everything else that a midfielder has, but they get less points for goals.
Yeah.
Right. So I think
and
the expectation for forward is that they need to score goals as a bread and butter. So it's just three for each goal assist and 3 points for each goal scored.
correct.
Right? Yeah.
Correct.
So that's about it. Everything else is the same as
You
your
say,
midfielders.
sorry, for the goal score is 4 points. You say 4, right, just now?
3.
No, goals is 4.
Okay, goals is 4.
Assist is 3.
Assist is 3. Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, like it's everything the same. But forwards would not have the clean sheet points that defenders and midfielders will have.
One caveat, right? A goal for forward has more bonus point system than a midfielder or a defender too. So that's why they have lesser points for a goal, but they have more points in the bonus point system. FYI.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then what are the general price range for forwards? What's the lowest price that we can go? It's
I
4
believe
million or
4.5.
4.5, right?
4.5.
4.5, yeah.
Yeah, same as midfielder.
And
Same as midfielder.
and then just a quick note, lah. I think it's very difficult for you to find a starting striker
At
at that
4.5,
price at 4.5 million.
it's very
Correct me
hard.
if I'm wrong.
It's
Yeah,
very hard.
because I think looking at the setups in most teams today, I mean like the actual football setup, you don't have that many strikers in a team. So it's usually one or at most two strikers
Yeah,
in a team, but you always usually have about three or four of them in their rotation.
yeah.
So I
So even
think
if a 4.5 million starts, right, he's probably a poor asset. Q, what's his name? Cameron Archer. So yeah,
yeah,
even
he
even
is.
they start, even if they do start, right, they probably aren't good assets to start anyway. Can be on your bench lah, to get your 1 or 2 points off the bench.
But
But other
we'll
than
talk
that,
about a very surprising asset at the end of the 23-24 season later when we discuss points per million. I think
okay,
they are not at the budget level. So I
yeah,
think those
yeah,
I will put 4 to 4.5 million as the further options. And then we have the mid price range, which is 5.5 to 8.5 million. I think that's where most of the mid table starting strikers price points are,
yes, correct.
correct?
I am
So
premium probably 9 and above. I think Watkins will be a premium next season. That will be my prediction, at least 9. Because
yeah.
he outscored Haaland, right? Did he outscore Haaland? Sorry, later we'll talk about it. But I think, yeah, it used to be only Haaland, right? Who else was premium last year? I
I
don't
think
remember
I
anymore.
think Haaland stands by a mile, and then after that, it
Yeah,
was just
After Kane left, right? There's no one else
yeah,
really. Only Haaland.
right,
Yeah, so yeah, that's the general price range for forwards. So
yeah. So basically, if you look at it, if you listen to the last spot as well on the midfield engine room, you will
yeah,
see that for premium assets, we don't have that many. So that's why it's really premium. So I think for forwards right now, we have maybe one, if you push the boundaries a little bit, maybe two or two and a half premium forwards.
yeah,
And then for midfielders, I think last week we spoke, there aren't that many, I think, above the 10 million price range. So this is where we will seg into our next spot, which is how you set up your team and what are some of the key consideration in your team structures when it comes to these premium players, right?
all
Especially
right,
for forwards. So a
yep.
wide range. You have three forwards to pick from. So yeah, we gotta move our budgets around. But generally, for me, I mean, just before we go into the key consideration, one of the struggles I have is actually like finding a decent price second pick striker. So so we'll talk about that
Aesthetic.
in a bit lah.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit.
okay.
So let's look at this. I think Lokman will bring you through what are some of the common consensus that we have about forwards in the game, Fantasy Premier League. So Lokman,
Okay,
some of the common
so
consensus we have?
pre Haaland, right? Okay,
Yeah.
the landscape for FPL for forwards were very uninspiring. Like you got the likes of mid-price assets like Watkins, DCL, Antonio. Those are the common picks. Like I think they were more popular because then we had premium strikers like pre Haaland, like Kane and Aubameyang, but they weren't popular
Mm,
because there
mm,
was
mm.
Salah and Son. So basically, to get Salah and Son, right, you need to buy these mid-price strikers like your DCLs and stuff. So they weren't very
Mm.
inspiring as picks. So, however, right, pre-Salah, right, the landscape for forwards were very exciting. I think pre-Salah, the forwards were golden. We have your Aguero, your Suarez, your RVPs in, yeah,
Yeah.
those were pre-Salah lah. When Salah didn't break the game. So because yeah, those were more exciting lah. So yeah, there was also like Vardy. Vardy was like also a decently mid price lah, but we couldn't really depend on him lah. Like you had to pay a premium for Vardy. That's I remember Vardy was good, but you
Mm.
had to pay so much, and he's not that consistent. So he wasn't a very enticing asset to lah. But yeah, I think Watkins can be the next Vardy, but I think Watkins will be better than Vardy lah in the better team. So yeah, I think yeah.
Just
What do you think?
I think just want a quick point as well. At the point of recording of this FPL playbook, the official game has not launched, so we don't know which players are listed in which positions at the moment. But if you
Yep.
look at the 23-24 season, I think a lot of strikers were actually listed as midfielders. So I think it's part of the game as well. So you have players like Richarlison, Wang Hee-chan, like we spoke in last week, who are out of position, who are listed as midfielders. So I don't know.
Correct.
Again, like, what we're gonna say here. will be general. Haaland will still be in the game. There's no rumors of him being transferred out. So this playbook will I mean the discussion will circle around that as well. But I think importantly is yeah, I mean one of the reasons why for me at least the last season the forwards were not so exciting was because there were not many pickings, cherry pickings to pick from lah. So we had to choose like the very few players. But I mean if they the only player who I thought was like who was like listed as a forward but could have been listed as a midfielder was probably Cunha. Matheus Cunha from Wolves.
He
Right?
plays
Like
that
I mean
then.
like yeah, like
Yeah.
he plays like a 10. So he's the only one that's been listed as a forward. So I'm not sure moving forward whether there's any plans to shift
To
players
yeah,
in their right position. Yeah.
like Euros fantasy. Some actually most of the wingers are forwards in the game.
Yeah, correct, correct, correct.
But I don't think it will go there lah. I think if we, I don't know. I don't think it will go there. But yeah, we'll see how.
Yeah, we
But
see how,
yeah,
but that's the thing lah. So I mean, like we mentioned, a lot of the forwards now are not so enticing because of I think it's also the. I mean, I'm not being negative here. I'm just laying out. I think the way the game has changed is that we don't have the out and out as many out and out strikers, which
yeah,
is why you have people like Haaland and people like Watkins who are very enticing because they are
yeah,
out and out strikers. So now a lot of the forwards are your very like your Havertz, your false nines, and all this. So probably why they are listed in midfield. Yeah.
correct. Shall we move
So
on to
your last
what
point,
the? Yeah, I
I
think no,
think
just that. Sorry, you go first.
yeah, I think like you're mentioning that it takes a lot for premium forward to be
Oh yeah,
enticing because of the point
point
ceiling.
ceiling. Correct.
Yeah.
Like
So
it takes
I
a lot
think what we do in a bit is also later in discussions we look at the points per million and then like
for
whether a
last season.
premium forward is whether a
Is
premium
worth.
forward will
Yeah.
worth going for. So let's
Okay.
look. What are some of the main factors,
Yep.
right, to consider
Fine.
when selecting forward? I think, of course, fundamentally, it's all about cost, managing your cost, premium versus mid price versus budget. I would generally say that because depending on the team structure, but because we've more or less concluded in last week's pod that midfielders are premium like they are one of the assets which gets you your most points the quickest, right? You want to focus a bit more on the midfielders, so it's very rare that you go for like a 3-4-3 formation. Usually it's like a 3-5-2 formation or something like that. You
It's not rare
usually
lah. Not. It's not. I won't say rare lah. I think it's probably less
okay.
popular than 352, but it wouldn't be rare lah. I feel.
Yeah. By the end of the day, I think what I'm saying is that there's not so much premium. I think it's more premium, mid price, and for this. Do you
Yeah.
agree with me on
Correct.
that one?
Yeah. Correct.
So
But
if
the mid
you
price
were
is
to
a bit long. It's a lot lah. There's a 6 million mid price, 8
correct,
million mid. So yeah, it's
correct,
quite big lah.
but
So it depends
it's quite challenging. You will realize when you set up your team in the first few weeks that if you want to put in a lot of mid price um forwards, they
for
start to add up very quickly.
they do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they do. So and then anything below like your mid price is for this. So very few
Yeah.
starting 4 million.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. So cost, right? I think the second one would be goal scoring record. I think with Haaland, we have like clear goal scoring record there. Assist potential. I think Watkins showed us in the 23-24 season how he topped the charts by having both goals and assists. Playing time rotation. This is standard as well. Fixture standard as well. I think what's interesting also is set piece involvement. So strikers who are on pens, that's a double
There's a big.
advantage. So
Yeah,
they
correct.
they not only have higher propensity to score goals from open play, but they also score goals from penalties itself.
Yep.
So there are a couple out there. So I think it's interesting. It's important to see that as well. And of course, last but not least, we're looking at like differentials. So what we've seen last season is that what we've seen all this the last season is that strikers is where forwards is where you can go your differentials because that's where people your expected ownership because of Haaland in the game itself, we assume that Haaland will stay in the game at the price point he is at 14 million. Because of him, it was either him plus some mid-price asset or 2 or 3 mid-price assets, but without Haaland. So because of that, there's a lot of there wasn't many template mid-price forwards. So there was a
Okay.
lot of like movements that could make it a differential lah. So yes, so that's
Okay, that's quite
that's my
extensive.
that's my point there. So these are
Okay.
the key points, right?
So
Lokman, can you take us through what you think some of the key stats to look out for?
So you hear some key stats to look out for. I think the first one, right, the most important one for me, lah, personally, is XG. XG for me is king. For me, XG is like if you guys don't know what XG is, it quantifies. Sorry, it measures the quality of goal scoring opportunities are created by the player. So I feel like XG is it's as accurate as it comes to predict a player's returns, in my opinion. So XG is king for me, lah. So if you have a decent XG, you know, from like for example 10 games he got a decent XG, right? I think that's enough of a sample size to think that okay, he will continue getting chances and he will eventually return. Secondly, you can look at shots on target. So it's basically like if you have, I think some XGs, even though it's high, right, you can see like you can filter out like shots on target and shots off target lah. If the off target is more than the on target, right, like Darwin, right, for example. So like it's not ideal, but I think XG is still is higher lah, already higher than shots on target lah. But after XG, you can filter out to shots on target. Then the next one will be shot accuracy. So yeah, it's similar to shots on target lah. So those two lah, I feel like after XG is something I'll look out for lah. And also like yeah, those of course on top of goal scored and key passes and all, I feel like these two is the most important, like XG and then shots on target. Yeah, I think that is the the top three lah. What do you think, bro?
I think XG is one thing. I think one of the debates you mentioned, Darwin, there as well was
Shots on target.
on the other side is grass, right? So I test grass or I test.
Okay.
So I think at the end of the day, there's this thing called XG minus delta XG, which is expected goals versus minus the
The
goals itself,
goals. Yeah,
to
correct.
show how efficient the strikers are. So I think that could be an interesting stat as well. But I think at the end of the day, these stats, again, this is my opinion, they point you in a direction. Whether you execute the decision depends on many other factors. You get what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I
I
mean, like,
agree.
it's not a be there and all discussion that we use
Agree.
these stats. Use these stats as a guiding compass to point you towards the players that
But
like.
do you agree that XG is the best stat to predict future outcomes in terms of like returns?
I
If you
think
look to
the delta SG, that means SG minus goals.
so that one is more important. You will consider
I
the
think
goal
that
scored.
I would consider the goal score, because
Okay.
I mean you could have, if you take every chance a shot, that increases your XG, right? But if it's not a
Yeah.
quality shot or it's not a quality decision, it's still,
I would
you get what I mean?
I wouldn't consider the goals as priority lah, because sometimes you can have the XG but you just like for example unlucky, or the like, you know, you can be unlucky for like 10 games. So for example Ronaldo in the Euros, right, he's taking a million of shots but he hasn't scored, but I still think he's a good asset because he's getting the XG. He's actually, I mean, yeah, so I feel like XG is enough, like the goals is not as important, in my opinion. Yeah. Also, okay, sorry, one more thing about penalties, right? One thing you can filter out, right, is non-penalty XG. So for
Yeah,
example,
I
if
think that's useful also. Yeah.
yeah, so if Haaland is top right of XG, you just look at the non-penalty XG. If he's still like top or like top three, then you know that he's getting good chances outside of the penalty. Because an XG for a penalty, I think is 0.8, so that really increases the XG lah. So yeah, so those are the stats to consider when selecting a forward.
Okay. Anything else you wanna add on
Let-
forwards?
Let's move on.
I think secondary point would be goal involvement as well. So I think very similar to our midfielders, looking at
Correct.
how involved they are in the play build up.
Assist,
They also have the assist potential. So I think very similar stats to your midfield. Uh, and I think the only difference is between these two for the forwards. You're looking at holding these assets for a longer period, lah. Slightly
Yeah.
longer period than your midfielders, for example.
Yeah. I think before one, I think assist is very
Mm.
important because there's more routes to points. You can't always score. I think there are some, I can't think of anyone like who is a forward, right, who never gets assists, just get goals. I think that if you
Haaland
have,
lah.
yeah, true. But Haaland is different. He's just you just get him. I think I remember who, but somebody who just scores, right, is not an ideal asset. Like if you can assist, if your link up is better, I feel like because you can't keep scoring, right? You need other routes to point there, but assist is a good factor. Go
Okay,
in
I
both
think
one.
I think since we are going into that discussion, let's go into our first discussion. We'll talk about the statistical analysis first before we go into our position players. Okay, for forward, the impact of OP on forward. So let's look at this data analysis. So Lokman raised the point. He's saying that forwards who don't score assists,
Who don't
forwards
get
who
assists?
don't
Who don't
get
assist?
assist points. Okay, so so the first thing that we do usually, like we do for all, is to draw out last season results, sort them out by the total points gained over the season. And then I think in top position, okay, let me just read it out quickly. In top, there's only two players who scored more than 200 points throughout the whole 38 game season. And in first place is Watkins with 228 points gained over 37 appearances. In second place, we have Haaland, 217 points gained over 31 appearances, right? And then everyone below that is, like, that's a huge gap. So there's Solanke at 175, Isak at 172, Mateta with the late push at 165. Then you got Alvarez, who's not near at City at 165, at 158. And then the rest are just like not that enticing players. Like your Morris, Nicholas Jackson, Matis Cunha, and even Darwin makes it into your top 10.
Yep.
Right. So if you look at it, right, like compared to the midfielders, in the top 10, I think there were, in 10th place, Bruno Fernandes was 166 points. That is already higher than your fourth position, Mateta, which is at 165 points. So I think it's this is why at the start of
The
this
negativity.
discussion, yeah, there's not say a lot lah. There's some negativity in this department. So Haaland is there. He's 14 million. I think he will continue to be at 14 million. You think he will drop in price? What's your take
I
for
think
Haaland?
same.
I think he
If I
stay
were
at
to
14
guess.
million. I don't think
Yeah.
last season performance justify like an increase in price, in my
Maybe
opinion.
decrease if there's a change.
Decrease, but I think the way the game is set up, he'll stay at 14. So let's
Okay.
assume he
Yeah.
stays at 14.
Yeah.
That ties your hand quite a bit because his EO will be insane, and he has shown, despite playing 31 games, he hauled 27 goals. Right, 27 goals and 8 assists. So some assist points there as well. Uh, I think at the top of the table with 228 points, this is where Lokman's stand makes sense. So Watkins played 37 games, but he's had 19 goals and 18 assists. I think
That's crazy.
double
18
double
assists.
digit double digit. I
Yeah.
mean almost 20 goals each of goals and assists. So
Yeah.
37 attacking return. So yeah. Uh, outside of the top two, I think the rest are just average lah. So you have
Solanke.
Solanke, Isak, and Mateta, who scored like decent amount of like 19, 20 goals, but they only had 3 or 4 assists. So yeah, what's the conclusion here? Outside the top two proven ones, even Watkins, right? Even at the start of the season, we had a lot of doubts on him.
Yeah,
You
he
agree with
came
me?
good. Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
We
but he
did.
came good. He came good throughout the season. But other than that, I think uh next season we have to see. This season, Watkins started at 8.5 million,
Yeah.
or was it 8.5 million, right?
8 or
And he
8.5. I don't remember. Yeah.
he ended the season at 8.9 million. Next
Yeah.
season he'll probably be a lot higher. I think he probably start
9.
at 9 million. right?
Minimum 9. Yeah.
So if let's say we stick to these figures, that's 14 plus 9, that's 23 million. That's a quarter of your budget cost for two of your tier strikers. So it's a conundrum. Now you understand the
Yeah.
cost conundrum of having both of them. So even if
Yeah.
let's say you go 23 million on these two, and you go for a fodder like a 4.5 million fodder, that's
Yeah.
really 27.5 million in your forwards alone. So it's something that you need to consider. And if you
Yep.
want Salah in your team as well, that's another 30.5 million. Then very easily you have 40 million locked on 4 players. So that's where the challenge is. But I just want to look at this again. I think when fit, Haaland and Watkins, right, they average 14.1, sorry, 14.1. Okay, Haaland's stat is insane. Haaland top the whole charts by scoring at least 1 point every 11.8 minutes he's on the pitch.
Yep.
So every 12 minutes he's on the pitch, he
You
gains
get
at
one
least one
point.
point. That's crazy. In second place you got Watkins, which is 14. Right, there's a whole 3 minutes more. So in a game, right, 3 minutes over 90, it's just a huge
Mateta is
improvement
exactly
for the team.
same as Watkins, by the way, for minutes
Yeah,
per.
Mateta is similar to Watkins. Okay, so we look like apart. I'm taking out Haaland as the outlier. The rest of the attackers they're averaging about 17 minutes per point, right? Compared to
Yeah.
the discussion we had last week against midfielders and the top 10 midfielders they at 14 minutes per point, right?
It's,
So
wait,
only
you,
only
wait,
two
wait.
forwards
You talking
or
about
three
midfielders?
forwards.
Can you
Sorry.
repeat the midfielders? The midfielders part again? Can you repeat?
Okay, so midfielders, on
Yeah.
average, on the top 10 players, they return about 14.5
Mid.
minutes per point.
Okay. Okay. So that's
Okay,
like,
I think Palmer is the exception 10.9 minutes right,
yeah,
per
he brought
point.
down the average lah. He brought
Yeah, he
down the
brought up
average.
the average. So without him, it's still a decent 14.9%, 14.9 minutes, 15 minutes per point. For
Mm-hmm.
your forward, I think on average without Haaland, it's about 17 minutes per point.
Mm.
Which just shows the basically this discussion right is shows the productivity of your asset when fit and in your starting lineup on average.
Okay.
Right, it's not
Okay.
guaranteed and all this lah, but at the end of the day, the numbers here show how, in my opinion, this is my personal opinion, my humble opinion, my casual opinion, the number of points that you gain, sorry, the number of minutes that it takes you to get a point basically tells me your productivity as an asset whenever you're fit, right?
Yes, correct.
So of course, looking at these numbers, I think we cannot predict the same moving forward, but we can use that, I think, in some discussion of like how we want to base our decision on lah. So I think Watkins, despite topping the
Point.
table with
Total points.
228 points, right? I think an average of 14.1, he's just like an average midfielder.
Understand.
Yeah.
That's a good.
So
That's a good summary.
so
Yeah.
so if you want to focus on Haaland and Watkins at 923 million, I think the 9 million on an average midfielder would probably get you better returns lah. I mean, if you
Yeah.
spread the points ahead. So that's that. There are very few players who are actually very good value, right? So I think okay, so we got the points per million. Sorry, so we got the sum of millions, but we look at points per million, right? I
Yes.
think only Jean Philippe Mateta at 5.1 million, he returned 32.4 uh points per million,
Yeah. Second is
right? So
Maurice.
second is
31.
Morris. But these two
Carlton.
players played plenty of games. Mateta, I think he returned
30. He played 35 games, huh?
only he played 35 games, but like almost non-existent, right? He started, I think,
5 million.
yeah, I think he didn't start all of it, but basically
Yeah.
the push right was at the tail end of the season where he was in a
Yeah,
hot
yeah.
streak of form.
Correct.
So if you caught him at the right time, then you would have gotten lah. But if you had him from the start, I think he would probably return you decent points, but you'll be like 0.5 million, and you probably won't start him if you had other options. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. it's difficult lah. I mean, you compare to midfielders, right? It's the even before this, we were so negative about forwards, right? Like Watkins was like in my mind, right? He wouldn't be in my team because he would be expensive, right? But with
Correct,
this
correct.
like comparison, right, it's kind of like double down on my initial thoughts. Are like it's not worth the sum of minutes per points. There, it's just like an average
But that
top
being
ten
said, right?
midfielder.
That being said, right? I'm just playing the devil advocate here. I think because there are not many forward options in the first place,
Yeah,
and you want to keep two forwards, two like
after
two
Haaland lah,
working forwards, right? Not
two
after Haaland.
starting
What I mean
forwards.
is like you need at least two working forwards lah, in case of
Okay,
injury, substitution, and all this.
yeah,
It might be worth to consider like a 3-5-2 formation, right?
okay,
That's why I think Haaland and Watkins still make sense because you still need two
okay.
attacking,
No, but
two returning
okay. So
players.
the argument is we talk about Mateta and Morris, right?
Yeah,
Like for example, Mateta, if he's 7 million, I think he's the best for. I think if he's on form, right? So at 7 million, I think he would be a decent pick. So yeah, what do you think? Like you can find a cheaper forward than Watkins because Watkins will be 9 million, bro.
yeah, I
He will
agree with
take
you.
a
So
yeah. So we have to find the 7 million,
that 2 million really makes a difference.
a big difference. That's why
Unless we got two Cole Palmers next season, I think
yeah,
then
there won't be a
then
goal bomber too. So you can't. It's very difficult to fit. Like I won't find the like Solanke of last season. Like next season, I think Solanke will be expensive too. I don't know whether he'll be worth it, but we'll see lah. But you want to find the next 7 million striker lah, who is decent enough. That's a
yeah,
challenge.
yeah, yeah.
I think
I
Mateta
think
might be
that's the
7 million.
challenge. Yeah.
I think Mateta might be 5 to 7. That would be my gut lah. So I think Mateta. I haven't looked at the fixtures yet lah, but yeah, someone like that lah. I think Watkins. Yeah, I don't know.
Alternatively, you can do without Haaland.
I don't. Well, what's your case for that? I don't think it's worth a discussion lah.
Haaland 14 million. Okay, he returns you that point every 12 minutes is fit, but just looking at points per million, he only return 15 points per million you have. Okay. So 15
Okay.
points per million versus I think the only other like versus Watkins at 9 million. So 9
Yeah,
versus
yeah,
14 million, right? That 5 million difference gives you a whole 10 points
yeah.
more per million that you spend.
Yeah, but the minutes per points, you see, that's because you say when
Yeah,
if he's playing right,
definitely.
if he's playing, yeah, I think Haaland City fixtures are good, so the fixtures are alright for next season. I think he will be in almost every team.
Cities, I mean, they're all playing the same 38 games, bro. So,
But
but for City,
yeah,
it's easier than the rest. I think they got more green fixtures.
yeah. Honestly, it's Haaland and one more. 3-5-2 will probably the
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
I think
always
one
Haaland and
one.
one more. I think you probably be scared of not going with Haaland, especially when you see like this season opening weekend 95% ownership of teams have Haaland.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I mean, if it's 95%, okay. So let's talk about expected ownership. I think that's one of the considerations that we factored in, right? So why it makes sense for you to go with Haaland when he's at 95% ownership is because you ride the wave. You get what I mean? The
Yes.
upside, if he does well, everyone does well, right?
If he does
If he
poorly,
doesn't do well, everyone don't do well. So there's
yeah,
minimal to marginal impact on your ranking if you have him,
yeah,
right? Versus not having him, right? And he hauls, and your whatever other midfielders here, because we're looking at like every 12 minutes he gets a point, right? So that's
yeah.
how many over 90 minutes, let's say
90 divided by 12.
90 divided by 12, that's 7-8 points. Let's say he gets
One
8
goal lah.
points, and
One goal per game,
yeah,
essentially.
correct, one goal per game, and your other striker maybe half of his output, 4,
Yeah,
right? So every week, right, 95% of the other players would have 4 points more than you
correct.
easily, and that would just whack your OR, overall ranking.
Also, like, there's no one to challenge him in the forwards. There's no more Kane.
Yeah,
If, yeah, so
I think there's only
like,
one player next season who probably come good. and he's the main man himself, our Darwin Nunes.
Oh, if
Nah,
he's
nah, nah,
6.5
nah.
million, nah, he'll be expensive lah. He won't be worth it. But anyway, yeah. Before we sum up, right? Like I don't know, there will be gems Like I think like if Tony leaves, there's Johan Wissa, for example. He might be the main man.
I'm surprised he doesn't even make it to top 10. No, Johan Wissa.
Yeah, true.
He
131
doesn't even
points.
make it. He was
I think
pretty good
one
at the start of the
one
season, but he didn't make the top 10.
1 point behind Darwin now, who's 10. So he just outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wood also, yeah. But I think there will be my gut will be Mateta will be in my draft in game week 1 because of the form from last season, and he'll probably be 7 million. So that's my gut telling me lah. So to sum up, right, there for example, Haaland is a non-negotiable lah. So the thing to look out for is some points per million lah. So we had the likes of
Mhm.
Mateta and Morris, right? I know they were cheap lah, so it's a bit of an outlier, but there's a trend to show that cheaper forwards can sometimes come good lah, like the mid price forward. So there will be gems. There will be the next Mateta, maybe not at 5 million, maybe 6 million or 6.5. There will be gems that we have to look out for next season, and hopefully you hit the right one.
I
Yeah, that will
think
be
there's a lot of eye tests for forwards. You have to agree with me.
Yeesh.
Actually, it's really I don't know lah. It's not just eye tests. It's not just stats. It's a lot of luck. Let's put it that way.
Actually, Mateta, I test like I remember he looked good, man. Like with this new manager, like he legit looked good, and then he started scoring too. I
You look
felt
like
like
Benteke regen, like prime
yeah, correct.
Benteke, Lukaku at Everton kind of forward.
Yeah, he did look good
Correct.
even before he started scoring. So yeah, I think I test. I agree.
No, but even then, like if you didn't have him, right, and you were looking for him, he had one game where he hopped, and then 2 games that he went cold, and then he came back with a good return.
4 goals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
4 goals. I mean, like it's a lot of faith
yeah,
in that sense.
yeah. I remember he remember we lost to Palace 1. Yeah. I remember he played so well and he didn't return that game, but he could have easily returned. But yeah, I think you can't expect him to score every game. But yeah, it's about holding, it's about timing and everything. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what can you conclude, bro?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think importantly, what we see here is I think you've seen a glimpse of the discussion that Lokman and I have, whether to go with Watkins and all these. I think cost on itself, we are not. If you see based on cost alone, we cannot see just from the forwards itself, right? We need
Yeah.
to look at the whole team structure. That is where we'll be covering in the next episode of FPL Playbook, where we talk about the team structure. What are some of the key considerations, like how can you start forming a team? So, for example, if I want to focus on the premiums first, let's say I want to set up I'm set on having both Haaland and what you
Salah.
call it? No, Haaland and Solanke
Watkins.
as my two
Solanke.
striking. Watkins. Haaland and Watkins are my two starting strikers. What's the
Yep.
impact on the rest of the team? How much value we have left, and then how to calculate, or how to look at how the team structure is going to set up.
Yep.
But before we go to that, I just want to do a quick concept on this term called bench fodder. Okay.
Go
So
for
I
it.
think at the end of the day, you have 15. So fodder, right? Basically, fodder is a player who you are not depending on getting points for your team. Okay. So basically, what this fodder does is that the fundamental concept of FPL is that you need at least 15 players, right? 11 on the pitch, one goalkeeper sub, and 3 outfield sub, right? Outfield subs. And unless you are in for a very, very poor or bad, unlucky week, chances are the players that you select for your starting 11 are going to start the game anyway, right? That's how
Yep.
you prioritize. And you might not need the full 3 bench for you to actually come on, right, on that game. So one of the concept is that you can actually get a very cheap player like a 4 million defender or 4 million midfielder or 4.5 million striker. It'd be a bonus if they have some involvement or they have some game involvement. But
Yep.
at the end of the day, why we select the cheapest of each category is to free up funds so that we can put the money into the
The rest
rest
of your
of
team.
the team. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think as forwards, there's a lot of, like, for me personally, I will always have a third striker who's a general fodder, right? So why we do that is that, okay, so example lah, if let's say we don't use the whole tree bench, right? Then you have 4 million defender, 4 million goalkeeper, that's already 8 million, 4.4 million midfielder, 12 million, and a 4.5 million attacker. That's 16.5 million. So your effective budget for the starting 11 expands to the remaining 83.5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the actual value that you can have. And then if you minus Halan and Solanke 23 million, and then you're left with, like, yeah. So this
Yeah.
discussion we have. So bench fodder basically enables that. So if you realize that generally every 0.5 million makes a difference. So
Yeah.
it generally adds up, especially in defense and in midfield, where the variation is wider and the options open up a bit more. But your 0.5 million can make a big difference in selecting one player over the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything
Good.
you want to add on?
Bro. Let's move on. I think that covers bench fodder. So I think last one will be our opposition, OOP, for forwards. So basically they are forwards that are classified. They are classified as forwards, but they play like maybe in midfield or even wing back, depending on the tactical adjustments. So it's basically not an ideal asset because essentially they are further away from the field, from the top of the field. So
Mm-hmm.
there's negative effects on their attacking return. So I would say that if there's an OOP forward, right, he is probably not an asset to have, just based
Yeah.
on the fact that he's not
Unlike our discussion last week on defenders,
fielders.
OP
Yeah,
defenders, top, right? You
yeah,
want to go for OP defenders. Midfielders attacking, especially forward OPs, they are top as well. But for
yeah,
forwards, I think the moment he's played out of position, the way the point set up, you want the strikers to be as close to the goal as possible to get the goal involvement as much as possible to get their bonus points, to get their
yeah.
goal
So
points.
sometimes you might hear this nomenclature, right? It's reverse OOP, so it's POO, means they're poor, means they're shit. So if yeah, so sometimes you can hear some content creators saying that they are basically pool, reverse OOP, which is their shit. So yeah, so that's one way to say
Position
it.
of out.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
I think that wraps up today's episode. I think it's a bit. I won't say it's a bit dry, but I would say that I'm hoping that. I won't say I'm hoping lah. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if there's any changes this coming season. With the forwards and some of the players. If there is big changes, we'll do an updated version for the forwards itself and how we want to
Can.
deal with that. But other than that, I think forward focus. You focus on one, maybe two forwards. You get your Haaland in and one other player, mid-price player.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot. I mean, okay. To be fair, the fun part here is betting on that second forward.
Can
Right,
have fun
I
with it
mean,
lah.
like, whether you're betting on Solanke, Darwin,
Whether
Mateta.
you triple captain a Darwin or something.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's always the fun part because everyone has Haaland. The other forward is where the differentials really are lah. Basically, that's it lah. So that's all I have to say for forwards.
Wait, one more, just last question. So I said Mateta will be my second striker, right? If I were to
Yep,
choose now, who will
yep.
be yours, bro? Gun to your head. To choose now. Solanke.
Oh,
Darwin.
Darwin.
Will he start?
I mean, slot ball, man.
Slot ball. We're into slot ball.
Anyway,
Let's wrap it
okay.
up.
Just before we end this, right, I mean, the game's gonna start, and since you threw me a question, right? So,
Yes.
Mateta at 5 million. How expensive do you think he'll be next season?
7.
I'm
2
going for
million.
6.5.
Oh, he will definitely be in my team 6.5.
Yeah, I think in many people's team, in fact, 6.5.
Yeah,
But
that will be too cheap. But maybe lah, maybe 6.5.
I feel that 2 million
Too
is a
much.
bit too steep for someone who would like a second half improvement. I
Yeah,
think it
fair.
justifies Watkins. Watkins, what do you think he's
9.
where did he sit? I think
9.
he's
You?
at 9.5.
Solanke?
Solanke was at 7, right?
I don't know. I forgot. Wait, let me check.
Yeah. So
I think he'll be 8
I
million.
think 7.5 to 8.
7.
But I think it'd be a conundrum for Harlan Watkins like we had with Harlan Kane.
Haaland Kings. Yeah. Who? You mean like
The
Haaland
price,
or
like
Watkins?
you have to
Oh,
choose. Yeah, I think it'd be tight that we have to decide one over the other.
who? Like Watkins or Solanke?
Watkins or Harlan. You can
There's
only
no way.
afford one.
I don't think that's a decision though.
No. I mean, it's not a discussion, but I'm saying that the
Yeah.
price point for Watkins would be such that you can only afford either Watkins or Harlan.
Okay. Okay.
You get what I mean? Like
Okay.
either 9.5 to 10 million, something which is steep enough that if you have both, then you're gonna give up something else
Yeah. Which is not a
or one
good
or the other.
conundrum to have because and no one will be on Watkins. So I guess he should be cheaper. Oh no
Yeah,
no.
so we see lah. We'll see.
Depends.
We'll see.
Okay,
We'll
let's wrap
see.
it up. Just one last word is watching France play last night. Right? I think Mateta should have been in the squad.
And Solanke should have been there ahead of Ivan Toney as well. So
Okay, let's wrap it up. Thanks for listening, guys. I think hopefully this episode has we covered all the positions, goalkeeper, defenders, forwards, and midfielders. We'll be covering crafting your FPL squad. That will be our next episode. After that, we'll cover like how to build your squad, budget and everything.
yeah.
Everything.
I think there'll
Then
be a slightly longer pod because there's quite a bit of considerations to think about. It's
yeah,
one of those that we'll do our best to keep things concise, to keep things structured. Because I think it's a one of the more fun parts of FPL at the start of the season when you tinker with the teams
yeah,
and if you're 100
correct,
million how you want to spend it.
correct. Everyone starts with the blank slate. No price
Yeah,
rises yet. So
they
yeah,
do.
anyway, after that we'll cover transfers and then chips and then fixtures. So fixtures will be probably our last one for our playbook series. So stay tuned. Thank you for listening and share the pod. Follow us on our socials. Any questions, just hit us on our socials or Telegram or just DM either of us, me or Anwar. Thank you for listening.
Yep. Again, if you're listening to this pod later on, don't forget to listen to all our previous pod. There's some discussions here. You will notice that Lokman and I may have some differing points. So you can listen to the first episode of this playbook series where we talk about ourselves as FPL managers. We've also covered the point system, bonus point systems. We covered backline. We covered
Goalkeeper.
goalkeepers. We covered defenders. We covered midfielders as well. So it's a whole series. It's about 30 to 40 minutes each.
On
Good
video too.
discussion
If you
on
guys want to
video
see
too.
us.
So yeah, listen to that pod as well. Right.
Yep.
If there's nothing else, I'll see you on the next episode where we talk about crafting a team. I'm Anwar the FPL Casual. Thank you for this episode. And thank you, Lokman, the sensible one.
Thank you, Anwar. We are FPL Copy Talks signing out.
You're listening to FPL Copy Talks. Right here. Right now.